Hey guys, this is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be sharing my thoughts about an IG post that the Black Bumblebee asked me to discuss pertaining to 4 reasons why a man pushes a good woman away. And the Black Bumblebee has been a subscriber and a supporter of my channel, both my channels from the very beginning. She's an OG supporter. So I was like, sure, why not? Whatever, you want me to talk about, I'll discuss. I can't do that for everybody because I don't have the capacity, but I will give preferential treatment to people who have been supporting my channels consistently since the very beginning. I don't have the time to address everybody's questions on IG or everybody's requests. I can't do it all. I can do some if it's in alignment with something else I'm doing during the week, but I can't answer all the questions, okay? But anyway, she was like, can you please review this? I was like, sure, why not? So this guy is talking about 4 reasons why men push good women away. And I'm going to let you guys listen to it, and then I'll add my commentary.
Coach, why do men push good women away? Okay, let me tell you. Number 1, he pushes her away because he doesn't want to elevate. He doesn't want to become a better version of himself. And he realizes that if I stay with this particular woman, I gotta be better, and I'm unwilling to sacrifice that. Number 2, he's intimidated. See, many men are intimidated by a woman, number 1, who knows who she is. Number 2, she is secure in her right in the woman that she's become, and she does not need him for her happiness. She's already happy. She just wants to be in a loving relationship, and he's intimidated by that. Number 3, she cannot be controlled. Men push away women who they can't control, especially if they have those controlling behaviors, those narcissistic behaviors. When they can't control you, when you are a critical thinker and you think for yourself, they will push you away. And last but definitely not least, he knows that he's not shit. He's not ready for this type of relationship. He's not willing to give up who he is to who he must become to be with you.
So he says there are 4 reasons. 1, men don't want to do better. 2, men are intimidated by a woman who knows who she is. 3, he can't control you. And 4, he ain't shit, right? And we saw this play out with Martell and Melody's situation. As Melody became more successful in her career, in their businesses, he started to try to clip her wings a little bit because she was soaring too close to the sun. And he knew that the closer to the sun she got, he would have to meet her there at some point. And he didn't want to meet her there at some point. He wanted to be able to coast and skate on whatever little, personality that he has that has gotten him as far as he has gotten. But first, I'm going to discuss my own personal experience with this. Okay. So I have Jupiter in the 6th and 7th house cusp in Aquarius, right? And, for me, I never lead my conversations with men with sex. I also have Uranus in the 5th house. I'm more interested in learning about how someone thinks than their sex life, right? Or how they perform in bed. It actually annoys me when men lead the conversation with their penises. It's very annoying, right? The thought of it is weird, okay? So, because of this, I have been single for a few years by choice because I refuse to be in a situation where I have to diminish myself or reduce myself to an idiot for a man to feel secure within himself. I actually prefer to be by myself in general anyway, because I have the freedom to do what I want. I can come and go as I please. I enjoy life more alone. Okay. That's just something I learned about myself in general. But, as far as men not wanting to do better, men being intimidated by a woman who knows who she is, men who can't control me and things like that. And these men ain't shit. Okay. I agree with what this guy is saying because I've experienced this firsthand. I've experienced men get really frustrated with me when I ask too many questions. But questions for me are mandatory. If I'm dating somebody, I'm going to ask about you. I'm going to ask about your dating history. I'm going to ask about your interests. I'm going to ask about your goals. I'm going to ask about why you broke up with all these women and why you're single today. I'm going to ask what you want with this situation. That's just me because, I'm collecting data. If the data isn't matching up, if you say one thing in one area, then in the next area, I'm like, okay, well, he said this, but then he responded in a different way when I asked this question. So I'm not saying that I do this on the first date. I'm not saying that I do this in the first meeting, but I try to have conversations with people to get to know them in general, not just for a relationship. I enjoy learning from people. As I mentioned, I have Aquarius in the 7th and Sagittarius in the 5th house. So I enjoy engaging with people and learning from my experiences with people. I'm the person who will talk about politics and religion and the economy and spirituality on a first date. That's just me. I'm that person who's boring, who is very serious about what I speak about, right? I have Mercury conjunct Scorpio. Sorry, not Scorpio. I have Mercury conjunct Saturn in Scorpio. I don't play when it comes to my conversations. I take what I say very seriously, and I take what people say to me very seriously too. And that can make me a stick in the mud sometimes, but I prefer that than to play a dumb for the sake of making a man feel like he's smarter than me so he can play and manipulate me. I'm not going to beat you over the head with what I know, but I'm going to, collect my information and then treat you in kind based on how you respond to some of the questions that I have. But it sounds exhausting, but that's what it is. That's just me. And I enjoy being this way. But yeah, a lot of these men, they don't want to do better. A lot of men date women who are low-hanging fruit, right? They date women who aren't challenging to them. I'm not saying that's always the case, but when men aren't ready to do better, they're going to be around women or date women who don't expect much from them. Just a date, some sex once or twice a week, a couple of dollars here and there. They don't want to overextend themselves, or they don't want to engage in any relationship that forces them to reflect on their actions and their behaviors. They don't want to be in a relationship that forces them to be a better man. Most men, they are not at that stage 24/7, right? One of the reasons why I don't lead with sex in relationships is because when you meet a man who is impressed by sex from the beginning, that's how he is the entire relationship. This is somebody who is always thinking about sex when you're with them. And I don't think about sex all the time, okay? And it's annoying for me to be with somebody who thinks about sex all of the time because there are other things to do besides that. So when you lead with sex in a relationship, that's going to be the basis of your relationship. And if you're not giving the man the kind of sex that he wants as frequently as you want it, he's going to look for it elsewhere. That's why you have all these pretty IG girls with these, manufactured bodies or perfect bodies. They can't settle, or they can't find happiness with a guy in a sense because they have met men based on their physical attraction alone. Right? I've always known that's not the way to go. Not because I'm not attractive. I think I'm relatively attractive. It's just that I always knew that if you lead a conversation with that, then you're going to have to be that all the time. And you end up being intimate with somebody before you're ready to, because that's how you led the conversation. So instead of you getting to know someone for 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 months even, right? You're going to be intimate with them within a couple of weeks because that's how the conversation started, okay? That's how the relationship started. By, oh, you're hot. Oh, you're hot too. Of course you're going to have sex in 2-3 weeks. That's what happens, okay? Rather than you getting to know the person and getting to know their mind and what their interests are, then, you may be able to delay the sex until you figure out whether or not you're a good match for them. A few years ago, I met somebody. We've been talking as friends for years. We talk about politics. We talk about, just general stuff. Off and on, we're not in a relationship. We don't know each other like that at all. But a few weeks ago, he was like, yeah, I felt intimidated to talk to you. I said, about what? Why would you be intimidated by me? I don't have a nasty disposition. I'm actually a very easy person to talk to. I can talk to anybody of any race, any culture, any nationality, any political point of view. I enjoy learning from different people from different walks of life. So I was like, why would you feel that way about me? He was like, well, it wasn't you. It was more so me. I felt like I could not carry on a conversation with you because you're on a different level, right? And I'm like, what level is that? So I guess he was used to women coming at him physically, right? And like I said, I never lead my conversations with that because I don't want to have sex with everybody that I meet. So you have to be able to talk to people if you want to engage them in a non-sexual manner. Like, okay, that's my personality, right? But he did reveal to me that he was intimidated. I was dating a guy years and years ago, and I noticed that when he would talk to me, he would like stammer, he would stutter. And this guy was like really confident in his career. He was really successful. He was really handsome. But when I would ask him questions, he would start to like stammer. And I was like, why are you acting like this? Because I'm 5'4", 125 pounds, right? I'm not a big imposing person. I do have a mouth on me, but that's after I lose my temper, which is usually after you've done something stupid. So I didn't understand why my ex was so intimidated by me. I'm like, what is this? Yeah, then I came to realize that, he couldn't control me. And he was intimidated by me because he did not know what else to offer me because I was financially independent. I was emotionally independent. I was mentally independent, and I was spiritually independent as well. I was not a codependent person. I had feelings for him, but he knew that he could not control me the way that he controlled the other women that he used to date with sex and money. So that wasn't going to be enough for me. And so that was an issue for him. But I didn't understand at the time. It was years and years ago. I was in my 20s. I didn't understand at the time that men want to be needed by you. So they'll create situations and circumstances where they feel like you have to rely on them for something. They'll try to break you down. It's almost like Munchausen's, something like that. When there will be a mother who would try to get her child sick. Munchausen's by proxy. I think that's called that. A mother would deliberately poison their child, right? To force the child to go to the hospital. And then because the child is sick in the hospital, the mother receives attention and sympathy and things like that. So she keeps the child sick in order to get attention vicariously through her child. So a lot of men are like this. They want you to be sick and broken in order to be needed by you, right? And if you're not that, they don't know what else to come to the table with. So they'll try to break you down in order for you to need them or to think that you need them. Okay. And so, we saw the situation with Martell and Melody. Melody became more successful. She started to work harder, to study more. As she got more successful in the business, as the business grew more successful, the expectations for them grew. They had to be more accountable for the work that they were doing. I'm sure they started to attract more high-profile clientele, right? They started to attract the attention of newscasters, of local media, of the press, or whatever. And that put some extra pressure on Martell because Melody was, she was like a fish to water. She was like, yeah, I got this. Whatever they come at me with, I can go toe to toe, right? Because she is a manifester, okay? And she knows how to integrate her power with her emotions and her identity. She doesn't have an unhealthy relationship with power. She's not afraid of confronting new situations and circumstances because she knows that she can trust herself to do the best that she can regardless of what happens. So she knows that she can survive regardless, okay? That is her. Martell, I think part of the issue, besides the fact that his ego was being bruised, was the fact that he could not meet her where she was going. He knew that once they became more successful in their businesses, that he would have to step up. And he didn't want to do better. He wanted to be the same old Martell that could skate on by with mediocre grades, with C average, right? He was a C average husband and a C average business owner, now trying to play in the big leagues with A students. Not just A students who enjoy the work that they do. So he started to feel intimidated, and he started to resent Melody because their life was becoming too big, and he felt like he didn't fit in that big life. He wanted the prestige, he wanted the reputation, he wanted the status of being that big boss man without actually having to do the work of being that big boss man. The performance standards are way higher in the big leagues than they are in the amateurs. This is why I think that Martell also did not go to the combine, not just because his grandma died, but because he didn't feel confident enough to compete in the big leagues with men who were just as good as he was, or even better. He could not face defeat. He has an issue with failure, right? So it's easier to say, yeah, my grandma died, and that's a legitimate excuse, but that would be motivating to other people. Some people are motivated by the death of relatives, right? Because they want to prove that, they want to show their relatives that all the time, energy, and effort that was invested in them did not go for naught. So Martell, in my opinion, backed out of that combine situation because he didn't want to compete in the big leagues. He wanted to skate with his C average, and the NFL is not C average. The NFL is the best of the best of the best of the best. And Martell didn't feel like he can compete. So when he encountered the same issue with Melody in their businesses, he allowed his insecurities to sabotage that opportunity for him. Okay. He went to a safe space, right? Ariane, I mentioned before, is a safe space for Martell. She is Miss Low Expectation. She is, you're good enough as you are, right? Like his mommy would say, you're good enough as you are. And that's only true if you're happy with who you are, where you are. If you're not happy with who you are, where you are, then you're not good enough where you are, right? As a species, it's our responsibility to keep pushing forward and to keep being better versions of ourselves. That's what the evolutionary process is supposed to be about. You're not supposed to stay stagnant. If you stay fixed or stagnant, the universe will find a way to disrupt your whole situation. Okay, whether you want it to be disrupted or not. So Martell, in my opinion, he sabotaged everything because he did not want to fail. He did not want to do the work to compete in the big leagues with all these other real estate developers and things like that. But he wanted the prestige of that. He just didn't want to manage it, and he didn't feel confident in himself enough to handle it, especially after he failed this builder's license test. It was like, feeding into this anxiety of worthlessness that he has, of not being able to compete in the big leagues. And so with Melody getting her builder's license and becoming the face of the brand and becoming this sort of local celebrity in their community because of her business acumen and her public speaking and her intellect and her beauty, Martell started to feel sidelined in a sense. But the frustration that he had the frustration that Martell had with himself, he projected onto Melody. So he went to Ariane, who was a comfort zone, right? Somebody who didn't expect much from him. Someone who was just okay with dick and bubblegum, right? Dick and bubblegum meaning sex and a couple of bills paid. Not no houses bought for you or nothing, but a couple of bills paid. That wasn't any sweat off of Martell's back, the few $1,000s he was giving her to take care of her bills. But Ariane was impressed with the very little that he had, and that was intoxicating for Martell because, again, Martell felt like Melody was leaving him behind, right? She was going to ultimately become so renowned in their industry that, that is awful. Ugh, why do I keep going to this? He became her enemy because he did not want her to succeed, because her succeeding meant that he would have to succeed too. And he didn't think that he could meet her where she was or where she was going. So let me try to clip your wings, because Melody said to Martell, like, this BS you're putting me through, you are blocking me from my blessings. And he said, I know. So he was intentionally trying to keep Melody in hell with him. Not hell necessarily, but he was trying to make sure that Melody did not elevate, because he wasn't elevating. This is like the crabs in the barrel, mentality that we have in our community. I don't want you to do better because I am not confident in myself, or I don't have the discipline or the work ethic to do better. So I'm going to make you feel bad about wanting more for yourself. That is an issue that we have in our community, especially among Black men. Especially among Black men. Black men do not like to see other Black men, by and large, doing better than them, especially Black men from their hometown. That's why so many of these rappers get killed by other Black men once they get some paper and start to glow up, okay? So what Martell was doing is that, number one, he didn't want to do better. He didn't want to study for his exam, right? Or even if he couldn't pass his exam, he didn't want to get the other certifications that he would need to become like a boss in whatever area he could have been a boss in, right? I don't know if Martell has any licenses or certifications within the field of construction or real estate, but that would have made him feel better about himself, or that would have made him feel like he was contributing to the relationship. But again, Martell didn't want to do better. So he was intimidated by Melody, right? Because she grew to become more confident in who she was too. In a sense, she's no longer school teacher Melody, college student Melody. She's now CEO Melody of 2 companies that they're building from scratch, right? Brick by brick, okay? He can see Melody's work ethic. He can see how powerful she is as a person. So he is now intimidated by her. Just like men are intimidated by me and other women who don't lead conversations with sex, who don't lead conversations with desperation, and I need a man at any cost. It doesn't matter what he does to me, doesn't matter how he looks, doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if he's dysfunctional, doesn't matter of anything. If he's a raggedy old, any old piece of man will do. Men love women like that. I don't feel bad for being single because I know that's why I'm single. I'm single because I refuse to be in a situation with a man who feels like I have to be small in order for him to be big. That is miserable for me. Now, I'm not saying I want to walk around with my degrees and, talking his ear off all day. I'm not doing that either because I like my alone time and I like to be by myself by and large, right? I don't need to be with you all the time as a person. And a lot of men don't like that. I am the kind of person, I told my clients this too, some of my clients, I'm the kind of person that enjoys freedom in relationships. I need my own space. I don't believe that people should get married and move in together, right? That's just my thing. Some people should do that, but some people should not. Okay, I would not enjoy living with my husband if I married him. I would need my own place and he would have his own place and we can meet in the middle a few times a week, right? Just, to do married couple things, but I would need the option of having freedom and space for myself. Not so I can be with other men. No, that defeats the purpose. Okay, I don't like men enough to want 15, 20 men at a time, or even 2, 3 men at a time. One is enough. So for me, a lot of men don't understand that. They get intimidated because I don't want to see them every single day, right? Because I don't need them like that. I have my own life. I have my own accomplishments. I have my own goals. It's not just about them, right? I don't feel fulfilled just by having a man. That's awful. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I haven't made mistakes in relationships when I was really young and didn't know this about myself. But I didn't understand why my exes would get mad at me for not wanting to see them every single day. I'm like, well, I just saw you yesterday. I saw you 2 days ago. Why do I need to see you again? I'm doing something else right now. I don't need you to babysit me and I don't want to babysit you. That's too much. A lot of men don't like that. They want to live that way, but they want you to wait for them at the door like a puppy dog, right? So if you don't express your neediness for them to an extent where it's like they don't feel like they're trapped, because this is what it is, right? They want you to need them, but not too much. I want you to need me, but only when I want you to need me. I don't want you to need me when I want to do my own thing and have my own women or whatever on the side. I want you to need me after I'm running the streets. After I'm finished running the streets. I don't want you to need me while I'm running the streets. Because if you need me while I'm running the streets, then you're going to catch me running the streets. So I want you to be there for me like a puppy dog, panting, happy, and wagging her tail, booty girl, or whatever, right? Wagging your tail so that I can feel like the man when I get home from doing my dirt out in the streets. That's what they want. And I don't do that. Because if I sense that you're a dog, right, and you run in the streets, I'm going to say something like, well, then you must want to be in the streets. That's logical for me. When it comes to men and when I talk to them, I don't lead by emotion either. So I don't react and respond to them based on my emotional disposition. I'll give you an example. If a guy I like, he violates me, he disrespects me, he won't know that he's done that by me crying about it. I'll just express my thoughts to him logically, and then I'll express to him logically and calmly and rationally that is the reason why we're not going to be in this relationship anymore because I've been disrespected, and there's nothing you can say to change that. When you operate off emotion, you can be manipulated with your emotions. So what they'll say to you is like, okay, even though I know I cheated on you, I love you and you love me. I love you. I don't want this to end. They will use those words to play on your emotional heartstrings, to get you to not be logical about what's actually happened, and then you'll stay stuck in their BS. So I don't listen to their emotional manipulation games, right? I don't listen to the words they say. I look at what they do. I look at their actions, and I respond to their actions logically, because their actions to me are more logical than the emotions behind it, right? So if I see you're cheating and you're a cheater and you're abusive and you're not happy, then I will say, okay, it's time for me to leave this situation because you're obviously not happy here. And I'm not in the mood to try to force you to be someone that you're not in order for me to feel comfortable in this relationship, because I don't need you anyway, right? I'm happier by myself. If I realize I'm happier by myself and you're the source of issues for me, I'm going to leave the situation. Men don't like women who think this way. They don't like critical thinkers, because you can't manipulate critical thinkers. The reason why Martell complained about Melody being too mouthy and not like Tisha was because Melody would use her critical thinking skills to say, guess what? I love this guy, but just because I love him doesn't mean that this love is healthy. I have to do what's best for me and my children, regardless of how I feel about it. Most men want women to operate in that feeling space where they have domain and control, right? I'll get into that astrologically later. But the men have control over women's feelings more than women have control over men's feelings, by and large, okay? Just by the nature of masculinity, women are more receptive by nature and men are more dominant. So receptive energy is emotional. So a lot of women respond to things emotionally instead of logically, right? We saw with Ariane, because she was wrapped up in her emotions, she could not logically deduce that having a child by a married man was a bad idea. She was caught up in her feelings. Her feelings told her to continue to engage in an extramarital affair with a married man. And now she has a baby by a man who doesn't want to be with her. That is what feelings do to you, right? Martell could not control Melody with that after a certain while. When Melody figured out, okay, I'm going to use my common sense to figure this out because he's going to keep lying to me. You cannot trust these men to be more honest with you than you are with yourself. Some women want men to think for them. They're not comfortable thinking for themselves. Well, what do you think? What should I do? This, that, and the third, right? And a man will violate them to their face, but the woman won't trust herself to the point where she will ask for permission to think for herself. Did you do this? Did you do that? You see the man disrespecting you. You feel disrespected. But instead of, responding appropriately, you're going to ask him for permission to respond in a way that is beneficial to him. Meaning, did you cheat on me? No, I didn't cheat on you. Why are you asking him if you already know? Right? For the most part, women know when a man's cheating. I'm not saying being paranoid and asking him questions with no basis. If you find out that he's cheating, why are you asking him, why did he cheat? Or if he did. A lot of women want the man to confirm for them what they already know. I don't need that. Because I don't need you to think for me, and I don't need you to tell me the truth in order for me to accept the truth within myself. So when a woman gets to the point where she doesn't need someone to think for her, or when she doesn't trust anyone else more than she trusts herself, men don't like that. So these men who were dating women, I don't want women to feel lonely or abandoned or worthless because they haven't found a partner. More than likely, you're difficult to be with. Not because you're a bad woman, but because you don't allow men to play games with you. You don't allow men to use you for anything or to manipulate you. When a man, and I mentioned this before, when a man is really feeling you, he will come correct. He will come correct. You don't have to ask him how he feels about you and those things, right? And also, on top of that, he won't want you to be a lesser version of yourself for him. He wants you to be better, because if you're better, then he's better. So yeah, this guy is 100% correct, right? Some men do care about women enough to not even engage with them because they know that they can't handle them, right? I've had this conversation with several men myself. They're like, listen, I can't give you what I think you deserve. And some of them are telling the truth. Some of them will end up with a woman who will accept the bare minimum from them, right? Money and penis. That's it. But then as the relationship progresses, he feels empty because they never got to engage on a deeper level, and then they break up. And that happens all the time. But yes, this guy is correct. They don't want to do better. They're intimidated by a woman who can think for herself, who knows who she is. They can't control these women, and he ain't shit. And my worst nightmare is being stuck to a man who ain't shit. Living with a man who ain't shit. Living with a broken, insecure. The thought of that makes me really nauseous. Like, I just can't do it. And women should stop feeling bad for having standards for themselves. They should stop feeling bad for not willing to put up with nonsense. There was a TikTok video a few weeks ago where this lady said, I'm good. I'm single for the rest of my life. She said this. She said, I don't want to pick up after a man. I don't want to have to do his laundry. I don't want to have to cook for a grown man. You are a grown man. If I have to cook for myself, why can't you cook for yourself? That's what she was saying. Now, some women may disagree. I personally like to cook. It doesn't matter who I'm cooking for. I love cooking. But she was like, I shouldn't have to take care of a grown man because nobody's taking care of me. I can't rely on you to take care of me. So why am I working full time and taking care of you like you're a child? That's what she said. She said she doesn't want to do laundry. I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean. I want to enjoy my life and my career and my man without having to be his slave. That's what she said. So she said, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life because those are my requirements. A lot of men only want to be with women who can serve them in some way, who are their maids or their sex dolls. Again, I can't do that. That's not rewarding for me. That was never appealing for me as a person, because I can relate to many women who have this issue of finding the right person. And I can relate to Melody's story in many ways as well. Not exactly the same, because I've never been married, and I don't think I want to get married in the traditional sense. I said this before. Living with someone when you're married is just awful to me. 24/7. Once, a few days a week, yes. But I can't do it every day. I need my own space. But to close it out, I do get irritated with women who keep asking these questions. How can I be a better woman for a man? How can I attract a man? I'm sick of these questions. I don't know why. I think maybe I should stop assuming these women are like my age. But they're actually women who are my age are probably more than likely the ones asking these questions because they're older. But I really wish women would stop centering themselves around men. Please stop thinking about these men all day, every day. Please stop being jealous of your friends who have boyfriends. It is not the end of the world to be single for a couple of years. It really isn't. There's a reason why the majority of divorces are filed by women. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Women are the one who have to suffer the most in relationships. It's not always the case, but it's not natural, in my opinion, to have to live with someone 24/7. I didn't say cheat and have a bunch of people and penises and vaginas in your life. That's a different conversation, and I don't agree with that necessarily. But as an astrologer, I can see that that disposition in someone's birth chart, where they would need to have multiple partners. I can see that, and I can respect it. It's just not for me. I need distance, and I need exclusivity, and most men can't handle that. They feel like if you're not with them, you're with somebody else, or they get so insecure that you don't need to see them every day that they have to fill their time with another woman. And that's what it is. So, yeah, this guy is correct. But we have to stop putting these men on the pedestal. Stop asking about these men. Live your life. Be happy with yourself. Be content with yourself. Do something you love to do. Enjoy your own company. Enjoy your freedom. I mean, you can date casually if you want to. That's fine. No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, some women they do too much. They do too much worshiping, pandering, desperation. And some women want the experience of having a partner, right? But stop putting these men on the pedestal. Because by and large, you'll end up like Kimmy, Tisha, or Melody. With men who are just valued because they're men. Not bringing much to the table with penis and drama. Okay? And paternity. That's the father of my kids. Okay. That's their value, by and large. Okay. Again, I'm going to open up the membership tier for this platform in a couple of days. The Black Bumblebee keeps asking me to do it. And I really wasn't. I wanted to do it, but then I didn't want to do it at the same time. Because I don't like social media. And I don't like being on the internet like that. Okay. I don't like being too accessible to a group of people that I don't know by and large, just to keep it at 110%. I'm very protective of my energy and my space. But I do think that we need to have more nuanced conversations outside of the general YouTube platform space, because I don't want to be inundated with trolls and individuals who want to start shit for no reason. So I'm going to have memberships on the platform where we can have live conversations about some of these topics that I think are relevant to our community. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.